She always believed her relationship with her sister was unshakable. From childhood secrets to teenage dreams, they had been inseparable, two halves of the same whole. Family dinners, late-night calls, birthday surprises, every major life event had been a shared experience. Even when life pulled them in different directions, there was always a sense of belonging between them, a quiet understanding that no matter what, they were each other's constant. But over the past year, something had shifted. Conversations grew shorter, replies slower, and a certain distance settled in, one that couldn't be explained by time or busyness alone. She noticed her sister avoiding personal topics, keeping things surface level, as if shielding herself from something deeper. Still, she tried to ignore it, brushing off the unease and convincing herself that everything was just as it had always been. Maybe her sister was stressed, maybe pregnancy had changed her priorities, maybe this was just a phase. She wanted to believe that. She needed to believe that. After all, family was supposed to be permanent. It wasn't until she scrolled through her phone one ordinary morning that the weight of silence finally became too loud to ignore. It happened by accident, as most betrayals do. She wasn't looking for anything, just mindlessly tapping through stories on her phone, passing time like any other day. But then a familiar face flashed across the screen. Her sister, glowing and radiant, standing beneath a string of pink and gold balloons that read, "Baby Girl." The image froze her. Behind her sister, a room full of smiling faces, close friends, relatives, even distant cousins she hadn't spoken to in years, all gathered in celebration. The caption was cheerful, full of emojis and inside jokes, as if nothing were out of place. But for her, everything was. There had been no message, no call, no invitation, not even a whisper of this event. She stared at the photo for a long time, numb, her mind refusing to accept what her eyes were showing her. It wasn't just the party she had missed. It was what it meant. Being left out of something so personal, so monumental, pierced through her like a quiet, unforgiving truth. Her sister hadn't forgotten her. She had excluded her. Deliberately. The shock gave way to confusion, then pain, then a slow-burning anger that settled deep in her chest. She tried to come up with excuses, to justify what had happened, but none of it made sense. Something was wrong. Something was being hidden. And the more she thought about it, the clearer it became. This wasn't a simple oversight. This was a message. The days that followed were filled with silence, but not the kind that brought peace. It was a silence that echoed, that wrapped itself around her thoughts and refused to let go. She didn't confront anyone. She didn't ask why or demand explanations. Instead, she withdrew, watching from a distance as photos and videos from the baby shower continued to appear online. Each one a reminder of the empty space she was never meant to fill. The pain twisted quietly inside her, unspoken but sharp, and with it came clarity. If her sister wanted her to remain on the outside, to be forgotten or erased from this part of her life, then there had to be a reason, one no one was willing to say aloud. And that reason, she suspected, had everything to do with the past, with a secret that had long been buried beneath forced smiles and quiet avoidance. She hadn't thought about it in years, hadn't spoken of it even once, but now it pressed against her mind with the weight of truth. They had all agreed never to talk about it, to protect someone who didn't deserve protection. But now, watching her sister bask in the glow of a lie, something shifted in her. She realized she could no longer carry that silence for the sake of family harmony. It had cost her too much already. So she made a decision, not out of vengeance but out of necessity. She would go to the next gathering, uninvited, and she would bring the truth with her. Not because she wanted to cause pain, but because the truth had waited long enough. The room was already full when she arrived, laughter spilling out through the open windows. Music playing low beneath the hum of conversation. No one noticed her at first. She stepped inside slowly, scanning faces, watching their expressions shift one by one as they realized she was there. The surprise was immediate. Confusion, discomfort, and then that unmistakable flicker of panic in her sister's eyes. It lasted only a second, but it was enough. She stood in the doorway, heart pounding, surrounded by decorations and polished smiles that no longer held any warmth. Her sister approached, hesitant, but she didn't flinch. She didn't wait. She stepped forward and began to speak, her voice steady despite the storm behind it. The words came quickly, shaped by years of silence and buried anger, each sentence peeling back a layer of the family's carefully constructed illusion. The guests froze. Some turned away, others stared in disbelief as the truth unraveled in front of them. Truth they had either forgotten or chosen to ignore. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She spoke plainly, letting the facts speak for themselves, naming the things that had been whispered but never faced. Her sister's face paled, her posture stiffened, but she said nothing. And in that heavy silence that followed, it became clear that this moment, this confrontation, was no longer about an invitation. It was about everything that had come before it. She left without looking back, her footsteps echoing against the quiet that had fallen over the room. No one tried to stop her. No one called her name. Outside, the air felt colder than it should have been. But it carried a strange sense of relief, like a weight she'd carried for too long had finally slipped off her shoulders. In the days that followed, the silence continued, but this time it was different. Her phone didn't light up with apologies or explanations. Her sister didn't reach out. No one asked for her side of the story. The family remained distant, quiet, perhaps unsure of what to say now that the truth had been laid bare in front of everyone. She thought she might feel regret, but it never came. Instead, there was only a stillness, a quiet understanding that what had been broken wasn't her fault, and that speaking up hadn't ruined anything that wasn't already damaged. She missed what they used to be. She missed the version of her sister she once believed in. But she also knew that pretending would have cost her more in the long run. Some relationships crack slowly, under years of pressure. Others shatter in an instant. But either way, the pieces don't go back the same. She didn't know what the future would look like, or whether healing was even possible. But for the first time in a long while, she felt honest. And in that honesty, there was peace.